Good morning, Year 5. I hope you had a really lovely half term and are ready to start summer 2. And this week we are going to be looking at fractions. So it's been a little while since we looked at fractions, so I would like you to just stop and have a think about what actually is a fraction. A fraction represents part of a whole. So as you can see at the top, we have got one whole circle. Okay? When something is broken up into a number of equal parts, the fraction shows you how many of those parts you have. So at the moment we've got one whole circle. If we were to then split this circle into equal parts, that would be a fraction. So on the screen in front of you, you can see that we now have our circle, and our circle has now been split into 4 equal parts. So on the screen in front of you, you can now see that out of the 4 equal parts, one part of it has been shaded in. So we have 1 out of 4, or 1/4. Now our shape, it's still been split into 4 equal pieces. Now 2 parts have been shaded in, so we have 2/4. And then we have 3 parts shaded in, so we have 3/4. And finally, the whole pizza has now been shaded in. So we have 4/4, or one whole circle, or as I like to imagine, one whole pizza, all to yourself. Okay, so I think for some of you this might be a little bit of a revision session and you'll remember some of these words from last year. So when we look at a fraction, there's 2 key words that I'd like you to think about. So the top number is called the numerator, and that says how many parts we have. The bottom number is called the denominator, and that tells us how many equal parts the whole has been divided into. So in your head, imagine that you have a whole pizza, and that whole pizza has been split into 4 equal pieces. That would be the denominator. It's been split into 4 equal pieces. The numerator says how many parts we have. So at the moment, I've got 3 pieces of pizza. I've got 3 out of 4 pieces of pizza. How greedy of me. So thinking again back to that pizza. So slice that pizza and we get fractions. And this pizza here, it was one whole and it's been split into 2 equal pieces. So we have 1/2. This pizza was split into 4 pieces. And there's 1 piece left, 1 out of 4, or 1/4. This pizza here was split into 8 equal pieces, and then there's 3 pieces left. So we've got 3/8. So to remember, the top number says how many slices we have. The bottom number says how many equal slices the whole pizza was cut into. Okay, so here's your first task. I would like you to look at the images on the computer in front of you, and I want you to circle the images which represent 1/6. So the best way to do this is to have a look at what the shape has been split into. So I would do this first, and I'll give you an example. So this shape is split into 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we know for this shape, the denominator is going to be 6. It's been split into 6 equal pieces. And then let's have a look at how many pieces we have. Okay, and we can very clearly see that we've got 1 piece. So we've got 1 out of 6. So 1/6. So we know that this shape represents 1/6. And I'd like you to try and do the same thing for the other 4 images. Okay, let's see if you were correct. So we did this one. We know that this one is 1/6. So let's just write that on there to remind us, 1/6. Let's come over to this shape over here. So let's see, first of all, what's our denominator? What has it been split into? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So we know the denominator on this shape would be 10. It's been split into 10 equal parts. And then let's see how many parts we have. 1, 2. So this shape, this image, sorry, would be 2 out of 10, or 2/10. Okay, let's have a quick look at this one. So it's been split into 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then we have 1 piece. So we've got 1/6. And then moving on to these tasty looking sweets down here. Let's see how many of these purple ones we've got. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we've got 6, and then we've got 1 slightly longer looking sweet. And then finally moving on to this one here. First of all, let's count how many there are. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And let's see what it's been split into, how many pink there are. Let's just write that so we don't forget. And then there's 1, 2, 3 pink. So we've got 3/6, or 3 out of 6. So hopefully you're feeling confident about what a fraction is. And there's 2 more words I'd like you to try and remember from today's lesson. The first one being a unit fraction. So a unit fraction is a fraction where the numerator, which is the top number, where the numerator is 1 and the denominator is a whole number. So the numerator is always 1 in a unit fraction and the denominator is a whole number. So all of these fractions are examples of unit fractions. A non-unit fraction is where the numerator is not 1. So we've got 3 examples down below here. So 3/4. The numerator is not 1, it's 3. And the same here, the numerator is 2. And here the numerator is 3. So these are all non-unit fractions. So time to put that new vocabulary to the test. Remember that a unit fraction is when the numerator is 1 and the denominator is a whole number. So I'd like you to have a look at the images on the board, and I want you to circle the images that show a unit fraction. Okay, so you're looking at the image that shows a unit fraction. So what I would do is I would count how many parts it's been split into to find the denominator, and then I would find the numerator by counting how many parts have been shaded in. So pause the video here and have a go at that question. Okay, let's take this top shape here, this top image here. We've got 3 equal parts. So we know the denominator on this shape is going to be a 3. And then we've got, I don't know why it does that sometimes. And then we've got 1 part that's been shaded in. So we've got 1/3. So moving on to look at this shape over here. First of all, let's see how many parts it's been split into to find the denominator. So 1, 2, 3. So we know the denominator is 3 on this, and then we have 1 part that's been shaded in, so another 1/3. So I can circle this one, and I can circle this one. It's very strange. Okay, so moving on to look at this shape down here. This shape has been split into 4 equal parts. 1, 2, 3, 4. And so our denominator is 4. And then we can see that 3 parts have been shaded in. So we've got 3 out of 4, or 3/4. So I cannot shade that shape in. And then we look at this one. This is a very easy fraction to recognize. It's been split into 2 parts. So the denominator of this shape is 2. Ooh. And then 1 part has been shaded in. So we've got 1/2. So we have one more unit fraction. Okay, so now we have a slightly different way that fractions are being represented, and this time it's on a number line. Okay, so the question says, place the following fractions on the number line below. So we know that this number line has been split into 12 because we can clearly see that the denominator on all of these fractions is 12. So we know this number line has been split into 12 parts, 12 equal parts, but let's double check to make sure. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So it's been split into 12 equal parts, and we've got to decide where these fractions go. So if it's been split into 12 equal parts, it starts off as 0. The first one on the number line would be 1/12. The second one on the number line would be 2/12, 3/12, 4/12, 5/12, 6/12, 7/12, 8/12, 9/12, 10/12, 11/12, and finally 1 whole, or 12/12. Okay, so on a number line, these fractions would look like this. Okay, so this following question is asking you to write a fraction represented below. There could be 2 possible answers for this question. So pause the video, work out the denominator, and then work out what the numerator is. Okay, so this question had 2 possible answers. We know that the denominator is 9 because there are 9 equal circles on the board. 3 out of 9 have been shaded in orange, so you could have written 3/9. However, if you were counting the white circles, you could also have written 6/9 because there are 6 white circles in front of you. So that question could have had 2 answers. So again, it's another one of those tricky maths ones. So for this question, Joe thinks one of the fractions being represented is 4/5. Is he correct? Not Joe, sorry. Josh thinks one of the fractions being represented is 4/5. Is he correct? Prove it. So pause the video here, work out what fraction is being represented by the image on the board. Is it 4/5 like Josh thinks, or is it something else? So Josh is actually incorrect because all the insects together, there are 9 insects altogether. The whole is 9, so the denominator should have been 9. Then the fraction would either have been 5/9 if you counted the ladybirds, or 4/9 if you counted the green beetle. Okay, so hopefully that was a really quick revision session for you about what is a fraction. And some of you may have found that a little bit easy, but that's really fantastic. It means you've remembered everything we did in year 4, and we will move on to slightly more challenging things as we move on throughout the rest of the week. But this was more of a recap session so we could remember what a fraction was. So your task for today. Okay, so firstly you have to look and you have to circle the unit fraction for this question. So remember in your head what a unit fraction is. A unit fraction is when the numerator is 1 and the denominator is a whole number. Whereas a non-unit fraction, the numerator is above 1. It's not 1. Okay, so for this question, you've got to match the fraction to the correct representation. So you've got to work out which card goes with which image. Okay, and then similar question over here. Okay, so for this question, you've got to place the fractions on the number line below. So remember, look at the denominator, and that will help you to work out what this number line has been split into. Okay, for this question, you've got to write the fraction that's shown below. Remember, it may have 2 answers. Okay, then finally, if you're feeling like you really want to challenge yourself, we've got 2 word problems to have a look at today. So for this one, Alex says, if I split a shape into 4 parts, I've split it into quarters. Is this always true, sometimes true, or never true? Okay, and then which representations of 4/5 are incorrect? So which of these images are not showing 4/5? And then you've got to explain how you know. Good luck with your work today. You don't need to upload it onto Dojo, but if you are having any problems with fractions, then please get your parents to let me know and send me a message on Dojo.